What is the most evil company in history? Is paying hundreds of people poverty wages more evil than killing a handful? Is it more evil to slowly and irreversibly destroy hundreds of acres of farmland over decades or torture a few dozen people? It depends on what you define as evil. Is Bayer evil because despite inventing aspirin, various herbicides and other drugs that have potentially resulted in millions of lives being saved, some of their products were used in the gas chambers? We need to agree the definition of evil, otherwise everyone will have their own evil company that others might think, hey, they're not that bad. ExxonMobil and the other big oil companies. They knew they're destroying the climate more than 50 years ago and decided to double down. This will lead to a few 100 million deaths easily. Nothing compares and probably will ever compare to this level of evil. Nestlé is a bunch of pricks. Known for child labor. But the story I most recently heard is that they sent sales reps to Zimbabwe dressed as doctors and told mothers of newborns that they needed to buy their formula. When a bunch of women spent all they had on a jar, they couldn't get enough money for another jar and their milk supply had dried up by that time. So Nestlé ended up starving at least hundreds of babies. Oh, and fuck Monsanto. Ig-Farben? X200B. Ig-Farben was a German conglomerate of chemical companies that existed during the early to mid-20th century. They played a significant role in the Nazi regime's economy during World War II. The company was involved in the production of various chemicals, including synthetic fuels, rubber, and Zyklon B, a pesticide used in gassing over 6 million humans to death in extermination camps. It all depends on how you want to define evil, evil towards other people or the planet. Some that come to mind are Ig, Nestlé, Blackwater Worldwide aka Academy, DuPont, BP, and Monsanto, not forgetting the banks that crashed in 08-09 and closed, and some are doing just fine right about now. All could be classed as doing some evil that had a significant impact on the planet or others. They are all becoming evil. Right to repair laws are needed ASAP. And not just for one segment. A law that goes across the board on anything and everything sold. I want to be able to repair what I buy at a fair and reasonable price without the manufacturer stepping in otherwise. Software locking components now to prevent home repairs? Just how low can a company go to steal your money? How come Goldman Sachs stays out of this sort of listing every time? They finance any and everything that will turn a buck. They help raise prices, finance pharmaceutical companies to buy out other pharmaceuticals, and generally add to the cost of everything for everyone. Every dollar of profit is an admission that capitalism fails in its efficiency argument every day it exists. Sure, Terry's a bunch of foreign terrible motherfuckers. But for companies we all know and use or see daily, hard to beat current pharmaceutical brands like Pfizer that make money off scaring people. Using drugs that arguably do not do shit. Plus the influence in government to tell the media to talk about things that don't matter so they sell more shit that doesn't help anyone. The company J8 Top Zuno was an industrial enterprise in Erfurt. It built the crematoria in various concentration camps such as Buchenwald and the Auschwitz-Birkenau extermination camp. The company also installed a number of ventilation systems and gas-tight doors for the gas chambers and carried out technical test runs of the ovens. The military-industrial complex. There is cross-border cooperation to see parts of the world destabilized to allow constant war and make profit. Peace is secondary to weapons company profits, and too many are involved in the war. Look at Ukraine and Israel, suffering across both nations, but Western arms companies are raking it in. The Royal African Company would be my suggestion. It was set up by King Charles II and operated by his family, mostly to ship slaves from Africa to the Americas. Between 1672 and 1731. The Royal African Company transported 187,697 enslaved people on company-owned ships. The National Rifle Association should get a special mention, as well. Perpetuates gun violence in America for profit. Raises money by fear-mongering people, then the leadership uses the proceeds on themselves. They're corrupt grifters who have made America a more dangerous place. Radium Dial Company in the US, it's defunct now. Search on Google for the Radium Girls, warning, it's disturbing. The Radium Girls were female factory workers who contracted radiation poisoning from painting radium dials, watch dials in hands with self-luminous paint. Abir Congo Company. Some companies come close. Like the companies that profited from Jewish labor under the Nazi regime. But there's a special place in hell for King Leopold II and the operators of the Abir Congo Company. Chiquita Bananas, I'm not sure if they're that evil currently, but they have a really bad history of killing protesting workers, starting wars and supporting terrorist organizations. Brands International, a beer Congo company in the Congo Free State would take some beating. X200B. Free State. X200B. Congo company. Different companies have faced criticism for various reasons. It's crucial to acknowledge that perspectives vary, and companies can evolve. Discussing corporate responsibility and ethical practices is key for positive change. Dutch East India Trading Company was one of first multinational companies. Had its own army and navy, enslaved thousands, set up colonies, had its own currency, conducted piracy, and caused the overthrow of governments. Either one of the few big fossil ones, one of the big tobacco ones, or Nestlé. Which one depends on anyone's perception of what's more or less evil, and details I don't have time to look up. Anything the Murdoch family owns. As the TV show Succession, of which the Roy family are based, carries a good argument to say that he is worse than Hitler. Union Carbide. The Hawks Nest tunnel disaster, Summersville, West Virginia. Siemens made its money early on by designing manufacturing gas valves in 1930s Germany. They also profited from forced labor during that time. There are so many choices. Could pick a selection from oil BP, pharmaceuticals Purdue, financial Enron, sport FIFA, and so many more. Union Carbide leads to at least B on the list for many environmental disasters it caused, covered up, and neglected to learn from. Purdue Pharma? Oxy basically ruined my life. Of course nobody forced me to snort that SH, but still. I'm a walking dead actually. Modern day is Purdue Pharma. The architects of the opioid epidemic. There is not a level of how hot enough for the Sackler family. Disney has been funding the state of Israel for very long. The least effort you can do for Gaza ADM is taking your subscription off. My in-laws. They constantly overstay their welcome, trash our house while they visit, and talk shit about me to my wife. Degussa. Under the Nazis they produced the Zyklon B with which the Jews were gassed and then processed their dental gold. British East India Company were piratical thugs, murdering, stealing with tacit approval of the British government. Krupp, Baer, and A.G. Farben. Literally used Jewish slave labor and tested medicines on Jewish during the Holocaust. Chevron for what they did to Steven Donziger after he won a lawsuit against them for their activities in Ecuador. That one company whose CEO said that regular people don't deserve drinking water or something along those lines. Exxon? Nestle? United Fruit? Google? AT&T? Rio Tinto? Koch Industries? Amazon? There are so many. Why choose one? De Beers put the blood in Blood Diamonds. Brutally savage company. Not morally savage, bullets and head savage. Mylan Pharmaceutical. Literally kids died because people couldn't afford EpiPens and they were price fixing. News Corporation. The Murdoch family has far too much influence. They're behind right-wing governments worldwide. Historically. East India Company. Motor Times. So many. Union Carbide, Nestle, Purdue Pharma etc. Nestle is child slaves and are responsible for privatizing water. Honorable mention all companies. Nestle. The worst thing is that I can't avoid them, even if I don't buy them, they are everywhere. Nestle have done some incredibly bad shit in the past. I forget exactly what, but it was horrific. IBM. They helped with early computers to keep track of the Holocaust and operation of the camps. Surprised that no one has mentioned the Catholic Church or any of the other major religions. East India Trading immediately comes to mind, but it's a category with a lot of competitors. This pain I'm feeling still hurts. Pretending like everything is okay doesn't really help. Bayer. They manufacture the gas used in concentration camps during World War II. Nestle of course. Union Carbide, responsible for lethal gas leak in Bhopal city in Madhya Pradesh, India. Nestle, it's sad that they such good products for a company with a terrible reputation. Hugo Boss. Their financial statements indicate they still donate to neo-Nazi groups. Enron. They destroyed so many families financially with their accounting scandal. British American Tobacco. Responsible for countless deaths and enormous suffering. Jojo ruins small businesses and destroys the sense of community in rural towns. Religion is a business. Probably the oldest around. I'm gonna go with religion. Royal African Company. DuPont. They literally have changed out DNA. And Nestle, for obvious reasons. East India Trading Company, Nestle, anything big pharma, anything petroleum. What I hate about this thread is how many modern companies are being cited. US Sugar. They've been destroying the Everglades for about 100 years now. East India Company is probably occupying top 10 positions in that list. The whole food industry is evil. They made everyone fat and unhealthy. Lafarge. Cement makers, worked for Nazis and ISIS. Still working now. News Corp. Murdoch has done so much damage to democracy in the world. Shell is pretty bad. But it depends what factors you look at, I guess. Nestlé. Aggressively marketing baby formula in developing countries. Control F. Nestlé is up there just for that. Water is not a right quote. Maybe not in history, but certainly in modern times. BlackRock. All of them. Might be easier to ask what company isn't evil. I am a little biased since I just saw Dark Waters, but DuPont. Ad Fairbairn? Produced Zyklon B for German concentration camps. Jump Unlimited evil top to bottom, full of loser scumbags. Among others, the enablers like McKinsey and BlackRock. The Abyr Congo Rubber Company has got to be near the top. Pepsi, because there's still a dude getting a fighter jet. BlackRock. The way it manipulates everything is scary. BlackRock. Vanguard. State Street. Nestlé. Purdue Pharma.